It's been on my mind for a long time to share my testimony since becoming a Christian. After enduring significant spiritual battles, I finally embraced Christianity at the age of 17. This is just the beginning, a small part of my faith journey. I have so much to say, and often didn't know where to start, which put me in a long delay in obeying God's will. Please pray that God will help me build my testimony according to His plan and purpose in truth. Today, I want to briefly introduce my religious background and share the testimony of the dream where I first saw Jesus. My family was devoted Buddhists. From around the age of 7, the ideas of gods and temples captivated my interest. I fervently attended the Buddhist temple, praying to all the Buddhas and sea gods to protect my family and help me succeed in school. I was desperate for peace, as my parents fought constantly, and I yearned for someone to intervene. Unfortunately, their relationship only worsened over time, leading me to develop depression, anxiety, and sleep paralysis. During my sleep paralysis, it felt as if something was choking my neck. I couldn't breathe, and my body would be frozen, unable to even move my fingers. I prayed to all the gods I believed in, but there was no answer. On top of this, I suffered from severe headaches that made daily life unbearable. My mom, deeply involved in shamanism at the time, sought help from spiritualists for my mysterious headaches. One claimed that the spirit of my forefather was troubling me. She became very close to a particular shamanist, who visited our home numerous times to perform rituals and simply to socialize. For some reason, she took a special interest in me. I felt a strange energy during the rituals that both fascinated and frightened me. My faith in shamanism grew, and I began inviting spirits into my life at night, hoping they would be my guides and friends. I even played with a Ouija board with a friend, leading her to tears, and I loved watching horror movies, though they left me sleepless for nights afterward. I began to see ghosts, have prophetic dreams, and even sleepwalk. I would wake up in the middle of the night, wandering around the living room, telling my sisters that a ghost resembling a grandmother figure was sitting on the couch. Yet, I had no memory of these events the next day. I conducted my own rituals in my room, lighting candles and chanting Buddhist scriptures. However, the situation at home deteriorated, culminating in my parents' decision to separate. That moment shattered my faith in Buddha and shamanism, leading me to become an atheist. I promised myself I would never believe in any god again, but one night, when I was around 15, I had a profound dream about Jesus. At that time, I had very little knowledge of him. I had only attended Sunday school a couple of times as a child, and thought of church as more appealing than the temple. In my dream, I found myself in a vast desert, surrounded by people dressed in Jewish gowns, kneeling on the sandy ground. I learned that the smaller group of 12 represented Jesus' disciples, and inexplicably, I realized I was among them, bowing down alongside them. Suddenly, the earth began to shake. Everything trembled around me. Jesus descended from above, his figure filling the sky. Although I couldn't see his eyes clearly, I instantly felt his anger. His voice boomed like thunder, shaking the very ground and echoing through the air as he proclaimed that his people were not following him and were living contrary to his words. Fear gripped me as I witnessed the crowd shake and cry in terror, and I too was overwhelmed with fear. That was the first time I ever saw Jesus in my life. At that moment, I was not a Christian and knew nothing about God. Due to my traumatic past, which I will share in more detail later, I have minimal memories of my childhood. Yet, even after all these years, this dream remains etched in my memory like a vivid film. After that dream, I asked my mom's Christian friend what it might mean. She explained it in connection with the Bible, from creation to original sin, and shared that she had been praying for our family's salvation. At the time, I didn't take it seriously. I thought it was just one of those dreams, unaware of the journey that lay ahead before I would finally accept Christ for myself. The reason I share this dream is simple. Jesus is real, and he never gives up on you. One day, I wondered to myself why I would have had such a dream back then. My first question was, why would Jesus choose me? Then I thought about my experience at a church I visited when I was around 8 years old. A friend invited me to her Sunday school because I could get free food. There was one condition. To get the food, I had to pass a Bible quiz and receive a card with an image of Jesus. Obviously, I knew nothing, and the service was almost over. The Sunday school teacher just gave away the answer to me and handed me the card. Everything was already gone, except a few pieces of spicy rice cake. Those were sitting on the heat for so long that they were almost burnt. I didn't care because I had waited so long and was hungry. To this day, I remember that as the best spicy rice cake I've ever had. The teacher also gave me a children's hymn book. I loved singing and playing the piano, so I gladly accepted it and sang hymns every day while playing. Though I didn't understand the lyrics, I was happy to have so many pages of music to look at. Back then, there were no computers, cell phones, or the internet. Returning to my first question, the fact is that I had been to church and prayed in Jesus' name, even if it was unintentional. God never forgets those who have been in his house. He continues to remember and pursue them, whether they remember or not, whether they agree or disagree. He heard me praising and worshiping his name, regardless of my reasons. Most importantly, someone prayed for my salvation. Yes, intercessory prayer is that powerful. My mom's friend prayed for us for 8 years, and God answered her prayer. Once you are chosen, God never gives up on you, unless you give up on him and commit unforgivable sins. You never know his timing, sometimes short, sometimes long. You might say you have absolutely nothing to do with him, but you might just not remember, like I didn't. Or you might not know that someone has been praying for your salvation. If not, today is the day God laid his eyes on you. You didn't just click this video for entertainment. I firmly believe you are watching this for a reason. Jesus loves you, and that's why. I want to stress the importance of praying for your loved ones starting today. You are sowing seeds in his kingdom that way. You might say, yes, I've been doing it for many years and nothing has happened. Remember, God's timing is always right and perfect. Never give up. The salvation of that person could come at their deathbed, and you never know. I had the opportunity to pray the sinner's prayer for my grandmother, a deeply devoted Buddhist, when she was over 90 years old. Whether she is in heaven or not is beyond my comprehension, but I was shocked that such a stubborn person like her said yes to it. I hated Jesus so much. I cursed him, spat on him, ripped the Bible, yelled at pastors, and so much more. I was one of the most stubborn and rebellious people, needing evidence that Jesus was real. And then, he showed up right in front of me in my bedroom. Looking back, I see how God was weaving his plan for me even before I understood it. I invite you to join me on this journey as I continue to share more of my story in the future. Again, please pray for my next testimonies to come, so that they can glorify the living God. Thank you for listening to my story, and I pray that God will speak to your heart and bless you.